What?
This meeting's called to order. This is a joint general government subcommittee town council meeting, Thursday, May 1st, 2025, 6 p.m. in the Veterans Meeting Room. Next agenda item is roll call. Councilor Chenier.
Here.
Councilor Dow is excused. Councilor Kelly is here. Citizen member Clements is excused. Citizen member Julian.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Agenda item number 1, or 3 rather. Agenda item number 3, review and discuss the FY 2026 Town Council budget number 1111 in the amount of $21,200. Entertain a motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
Motion. Second.
Okay.
That's 21150. Cost wise.
$21,200.
$21,200.
200.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you see, just real quick, the salary up top is for the recording secretary.
Yep.
Based on historical trends, we reduced that by $1,000. In addition, as I stated at a meeting, she is now doing the subcommittee meeting, so that'll be an added cost. So we just recently started that, so that's why it's reflected. Even though we only spent $3,700, there'll be additional cost, and we'll see how it goes throughout the year based on that. If we can reduce it further next year, we will.
Okay.
Okay.
What page are we at? Because I think Matt gave us this backwards or something.
Very front one.
The account number is 001111. There's 2 different ones, so look for the green.
Town Council
It says Town Council.
1111.
Yeah, there's green on them, so it'll just say Town Council. Yeah, it might be towards the bottom. Go to the bottom one, so it might be the first one.
Data processing.
We're all waiting. If anybody has just come in and hasn't signed in, please sign in.
Town clerk. Treasurer.
Oh,
Jesus.
yes.
Just continue.
The only other big change as we move down the page is conference and meetings. You'll see the 2025 original budget was $3,500. We're recommending $4,500, and the reason for that increase, as you see, we spent $9,000 last year. So we would see how it goes when, that's up for the town council members to go to the annual conference. So historically, we had always spent under $3,500, but there was a large number of councilors that went last year. So we would make any transfers throughout the year if we had to depend on the number of councils that went. Okay? Any questions on that one? And then dues and subscriptions, the dues is for the town to continue its membership in the Mass Municipal Association. And that's the annual cost. They've given us the cost estimate for next year, and that's the annual increase, so that would be that. Goes up typically about 3%. Okay, any questions?
Any discussion?
No, I'm good.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Agenda item number 4. Review and discuss the FY 2026 Town Council Reserve Budget number 1132 in the amount of $80,000. Entertain a motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
What number is that? Is that under the?
Tab 8.
Should be the next page.
It
Should be the next one.
Right, the next page.
Next, just go up the next page. It's all in order, it should go wrong.
No, it's human resources.
Nope.
Oh, no, it's just the next page, because it's all within that, town council.
Why,
Do I have a motion?
a motion,
Sorry.
Okay. Discussion?
Why are we at 80 instead of the 100 when we spent 92.7?
No, that's what's left in the budget,
Oh, that's what's left.
yes.
Oh, okay.
So we had it, historically, if you remember last year, I came back and said we wanted to 100,000 because historically it had been 100. One year it was at 80. Due to our budget constraints, we're dropping down to 80 to hopefully make it through the year.
Okay.
If we have to, once we do our collective bargaining and everything, if we can restore it back up if we need it, we have that salary and adjustment account for that. Any questions on that one? We do expect, just so you know, even though there's $92,000 left in that, we've gotten this year a high postage and billing, mailing for the elections that we've had, curbside and all that, so we've been allocated funds through our other enterprise funds to make sure that we account for that. So we'll probably have about $50,000 to $60,000 transfer for the postage that should go into the enterprise funds. Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Yes, Council Montague.
No, this is great. I remember when I first got on council, we really wanted to move it to 80, or some of us did, and I guess it wasn't the flavor of the majority back then, and I really didn't see why, and now, finally, when we get a breath of fresh air with the budget, I'm glad to see we're moving it down to 80, because it makes more sense. And, spending zero last year can kind of justify 80 should be enough. But thank you for doing that, Mr. Manager. And, Michelle, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Unanimous.
Could I just, just a point of clarification, we did spend out of that account, I'm not sure why this reflects zero, but we did spend quite a bit out of council reserve last year with transfers.
Okay.
So, but I can get that number for you,
Oh,
but I'm not sure why it reflects zero.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 5. Review and discuss the FY 2026 Town Manager Budget, number 1123, in the amount of $375,933. Entertain a motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion? Town Manager?
Salary and wages, the increase is due in its top line. That increase is due to steps, and because that includes my salary, Gail, and Matt, so there's a step increase plus the regular COLA, so that's that increase. The salary part-time is Dean in my office. We reduced advertising by $1,600. Mileage in-state travel, we've reduced that by another $50, and the rest is level funded.
Mr. Julian?
On the agenda item, it says 375,933. In my packet here, it says 376,933.
Yeah, that might be a typo, so go with the one that's on it, if you could. 376,933.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Thank you for picking that up, though. I appreciate it.
Okay. Should we amend the,
Should we amend the agenda item?
You can do a friendly amendment, just say.
Make a motion, we amend the item.
okay, second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, so the agenda item is now the amount of $376,933. That would be the Town Manager Budget, number 1123.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on the main motion, If not, all those in favor? Agenda item number 5 is unanimous. Agenda item number 6. Review and discuss the FY 2026 Human Resources Budget, number 1152, in the amount of $122,279. Entertain a motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
Again, the totals are different.
Yep.
Make a motion.
Seven,
Can I make a motion to Which one's the correct one, the 779?
Anything in the book is the correct.
Okay.
Just so you know, thank you.
Make a motion to amend this agenda item to $122,779.
So moved.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. All right, so the agenda item is now review and discuss FY 2026 Human Resources Budget number 1152 in the amount of $122,779. Entertain a motion to submit to town council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, town manager?
Thank you. Just, in regards to wages, that's just the normal 2% plus a step increase. Print forms, we do a lot of printing for mailers, for health insurance and fares and things like that, so that's the increase in that. Recruitment, you'll see a large increase of 46.3, but that accounts for, if you remember when we did PPP, we had taken out the recruitment line item from the fire department budget and then move it to human resources where it should belong. So it's just a take it out of that budget, move it to, because all the recruitment should come out of the human resources office.
So the assessment center is gonna come through the human resources office now?
Well, we don't have anything budgeted for the assessment center. This is firefighter initial exams, all the initial exams, immunizations for firefighters, police officers, recruitment, and advertising line. So everything would be coming out of this,
Right,
including the cancer screening that we do.
right.
So that moved from the fire department budget to.
All right, so my question is though, if we do a new hire and you end up with an assessment center, are we gonna go through human resources and add the money, or the fire?
We can certainly do that. It's probably the right spot to put it in and make sure we coordinate assessments out of that as opposed to
Right.
going to departments.
Okay,
Yeah, we could do that. And it makes sense. I don't think we considered it, but thank you for that point because I think it should go out of a human resources function. We may transfer from the specific department for funding, but
right,
we could, into the recruitment line item. It would make sense.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Mr. Jillian?
Didn't we just do an assessment center last year?
Yeah, we have no plans on an assessment center. His point is if we ever do one.
Right, but what I'm saying is for this budget, it really doesn't matter because isn't the assessment center good for 2 years?
It is, but I think his point is, no, if we could do an assessment for a deputy chief, if somebody was to leave.
Yeah, deputy
If
chief.
somebody leaves, we
See,
could do another assessment. Yes, that,
Correct.
or we could do one for a captain if we have a captain.
Correct. I'm just saying for firefighters in general right now, we already did one, so we don't need to do another one.
We do not
Correct.
do an assessment center for firefighters, it's just promotional.
Promotional.
Okay.
Police, fire.
Okay, all right.
So the police would do the same thing?
Yeah, we would move, I think it's a good point that
Okay.
we would create the assessment in this budget. That is I actually like that because that would control it in the human resources to, because the town manager's office is.
I mean, it ultimately ends up there, I mean.
Well, yes, because we do the postings for it
Right.
and all that, so it does make sense, and I've never thought about it, so thank you, sir. And then, conference and meetings, we're gonna recommend a change in the conference and meetings. When we did this in miscellaneous expense, and we will rename it, we're gonna drop the conference and meetings down to $1575, and then move $4,000 into that miscellaneous expense. That is normally funded at $5,000. That is for, we do the health fair annually, and we have employee recognition, and we had missed that. So we're gonna, just so that way there's no overall change in this budget, we're gonna just move to 4,000, and we'll have that cleaned up when we go to council. And that's something that Nora, Dean, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Michelle, but we had talked about how to fund that, so, okay?
So do we need to amend this budget?
No, we'll make the changes because the bottom line doesn't change. We'll make the additional item.
Okay, so conference and meetings to 1575 and miscellaneous expenses to 4,000.
That's what the town
Okay.
manager's right.
All right.
But no overall change in the overall budget item itself.
Make a motion to accept it as presented.
All right, any further discussion?
Okay.
No further discussion, all those in favor? Unanimous. Agenda item number 7. Review and discuss the FY 2026 legal attorney budget number 1151 in the amount of $122,500. Entertain a motion to submit to town council as presented.
So moved.
Sorry.
Okay,
Town
so
manager?
for the councilors here and the citizen member, $2,500 is the minimum that we have to spend for the municipal hearing officer. That will now be Maddie, who's been appointed as the hearing officer. She's the secondary one, she will take the stipend. I will not take a stipend to be the primary hearing officer. But by law, you have to pay $2,500. It is the law that you have to pay for a municipal hearing officer.
Okay.
We're increasing the legal account by $5,000 to $120,000, and that is because we have 3 collective bargaining agreements that we have to complete this fiscal year and until next fiscal year. We also have some ongoing issues with a development on Pleasant Street. We have an eviction process that's ongoing. We certainly don't like to spend legal fees at all. I try to mitigate it as best we can, but there's some necessary ones. Also, we've had a lot of land takings due to the TIP project, so we've had to expend funds with legal to do all the easements and the processing of those. So it's been an expensive year, not outside of what we'd like to do, but it's a requirement to do those easements. Those will be coming to the council on the 19th. So that's our recommendation, to increase it, and hopefully we don't expend it all. We try to be, I don't call the lawyer at every beck and call. It's been very much when needed, but we've had some. The one thing that you'll see in this year's budget that we have, expended money, we did get a reimbursement of approximately $7,000 from the OPECA, the land trust.
Yeah.
They reimbursed us for that, but that just goes back to the general fund, so I can't reflect that, I get a savings. But that was a reimbursement from them for that process. So, that's the case there.
All right. Any further discussion on this, on item number 7? No? No further discussion, then all those in favor? Okay, unanimous of all present. Agenda item number 8. Review and discuss FY 2026 town accountant budget, number 1135 and number 3135 in the amount of $283,091. I'm sorry, $283,091. Entertain a motion to submit to town council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager?
Yeah, thank you. So you'll see a large increase in the salary, and the reason for that is we did add a position last year in the budget into the accountant's office. So Christine is the accountant, Amy is the assistant accountant, Emma is the admin assistant. Having this additional person has been very beneficial to not only the accountant's office, but the overall town function, as she provides support to multiple departments. Currently, she's assigned down at the DPW a day and a half to assist with their admin. So she's been a great addition to it, and will maintain those services. Yolanda assists in the accountant office with some other special assignments, like the airport and stuff. Right now, we're providing financial support to them. So that's the additional support for $5,000. We do get some money back from that from the revolving fund, so we're good there. Any questions on that?
So what's Yolanda's position? Is she still paying the bills for the accountant office?
No, we take it all, but she does some specialized stuff for
Okay.
us. Yeah. Now, you'll see specialized services
Right.
has decreased by $10,000. That is our outside consultant, Lori Del Olio. Lori's helping very much so. The Schedule A's, the end of the year reports are very complicated. Christine's doing a great job in learning those functions, but they are very complicated, and we're reducing the amount of use we have. We really haven't used her as much. Well, we probably used her less than $10,000 this year, probably, and we had budgeted at 20. So she's not here all that often, but she's here for that,
Okay.
especially around the times of end of the year for the school, because that report, DESI report's very complicated. So it's great to have that support. So we're gonna maintain that for at least another year through the training. Conference and meetings, That's just because we have the additional staff to send Amy to those conferences and Emma, so that's the increase there. And that's about it for increases.
What about, I'm not sure what A and B bill is billing down here.
What's that?
A and B billing, what does that mean?
Ambulance billing.
Oh,
Ambulance
that's-
billing? Ambulance
yeah,
billing?
is
Okay.
was that all in one line
It
item?
is.
Yeah,
It's
Okay.
2 different accounts, but they're all lumped into one.
Okay.
so ambulance billing is up, anticipate that going up?
Yes, that is going, and that's, I think, in the articles section in page 8, ambulance billing. So we have a company that does all our ambulance billing. We take the paperwork, it goes to Comstar, they do all our billing. And that is, due to the number of calls that go up, it's all relative to the call volume. We've historically had to do transfers in that, so that's why we're recommending the additional funding for that.
I know that the ambulance calls have gone up like drastically.
Drastically, yeah.
That's why it's going
Okay.
up.
So that's the reason for that.
We're gonna have a transfer request for this year.
Yeah, we do have, historically, every year we've come with transfer requests because we don't know what the volume is. And because of the increase of ambulance calls, it's just crazy.
I know in the previous years, we've had like 2,600 calls. I think we're well over 4,000 this year,
Well,
up almost 5.
ambulance is probably around 33 to 3,500, and fire is around another 1,200, so around
Right.
4,700.
Is
Right.
there a
Okay.
point in time where,
Can, just
I'm sorry,
point of order, can we just please recognize by the chair before we speak? Thank you.
Sorry.
Councilor Chanier.
is there a point in time where the ambulance billing is preferably done in-house versus going out? No?
No, we don't have the staff to do
I
it.
mean, what we pay is it's not worth having the staff. Would we collect more money?
I'd have to look at that. Historically, most fire departments do outside billing because of the complexity of the coding and all that. Because it's all coded, you have the different codes, all the trip ships. We can certainly look
Because
into
we
it, but
bill, what, 4 million and collect 1.4 roughly?
Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
There's a lot of complications to this that has to do with knowing the medical side of everything. So to have it in-house would be a huge overtaking. But I mean, certainly we can look into it, but I don't think with the capacity that we have right here at the moment, would be able to just take it in at any given time.
Okay.
Mr. Manager?
through you. And just, we pay $45,000 to hire a staff. You're looking at a $60,000 salary plus 25% benefits. You're talking about $85,000 employee. So by the time you're done, so yes, I guess it would be better.
Any further discussion on this line item? If no further discussion, then all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Agenda item number 9. Review and discuss the FY 2026 Town Assessor Budget, number 1141 and number 3141, in the amount of $263,232. Entertaining motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Town Manager?
Thank you, through you. As you see, there's a reduction in this budget. That is because last year we had budgeted for when we did the budget for the previous year, we were advertising for an assessor. Then we brought Jasmine in, she was at a lower salary. So this reflects the correct salary for her step. And then the others are at their, Francine's at her max step, and then we have the new employee that started, so it accounts for his step increases. So that's the reduction in there. Salaries elected is just a 2% increase. Salaries appointed, that's for Jasmine being appointed as the chief assessor, principal assessor, because she's elected on that board. She's the appointed person for the board, as a 3-member board. Any questions on those at all?
No.
In regards to specialized services include vision appraisal software. It's all software related, the method services that we use for the assessor's office. our OpenGov annual cost for the assessors department, and we are still maintaining Will at a $4,500 use for the year, because we have such new staff. We're trying to support them with experienced people to learn the jobs, and Will's been beneficial at certain times to come in and help, especially during like the tax rate setting and all that, so it's been great for that. And just an increase in office supplies. They were underfunded in office supplies, and the dues and subscriptions for the elected the elected assessors, as well as the principal assessors and the people in their office.
Okay.
And that's it.
Any discussion? So, not clear on why on item number, on the special services, why there's a 63% increase over last year.
I know you, may I speak? I do know that you did mention Will, but he was originally budgeted up top as well, so that is a piece of it, like you mentioned, which was not in there before.
So that would account for it. And then we also OpenGov's a new program that we paid for the first year out of the grant, so now it's added into that. So that would account for those increased costs.
Right, and in office supplies, you said there was an increase in it, but yet, if you look at the 2025 actual, we have budgeted 800, and the 2025 actual, I understand the year's not over yet, but
Yeah,
it's
let me
only
just double check
$354.49.
That is what, account number 01141?
Yes.
Right? So, on the budget report that we just printed on April 23rd, office supplies to date was $354. I'll double check that and we'll confirm that and get back to you on that, okay? If I can make a reduction, I will. I'll verify that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
If I do make a reduction, we will make it at the council level, yes.
Yep.
But I'll just double check it, because you're right. It's, office supplies, yeah, year to date as of April 23rd was only $354. So, we'll double check that one for you. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous of all members. Agenda number 10. Review and discuss the FY 2026 Treasurer Collector Budget number 1145 in the amount of $457,883,000. Entertain a motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So in Michelle's office, we have the staffed positions in there, would reflect a 2% increase. You notice that we have the additional position of Callie Matthew. That will be budgeted in 3 different ways going forward, with her salary being split through the curbside enterprise, water enterprise, and sewer enterprise fund. We have Tara in that office that was a new employee last year that was budgeted, so that came through. And then that's the normal positions that were in that budget. Also, we are carrying in the salary wage part-time financial analyst, Joanne, but that's offset by ARPA. So that's the funding for that position.
Okay.
And longevity went down because Nee is no longer with us. Longevity is there's grandfathered people that have longevity, so as people retire, that's going down. There'll be no more longevity, but she retired, so there's no longevity there.
Okay.
Okay. And any other questions on any?
Councilor Cheney.
Tara,
Yeah.
she got to step forward, but I thought she started out in that position as when she left DPW, was it understood that she was gonna be at the lower position where she was going?
Yes, top of my head, I think I'd started her at 3, now she's going to 4. So she did go down a step, and then she's working her way
Way
back
back
up
up.
now.
Okay,
Any other questions?
no, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, advertising and promotion, we have a budget of $3,000.
Yep.
So we didn't spend anything this year?
Advertising and promotions for treasurer collector.
Here's 3,000.
Yep, you're right.
Mhm, I
Is
can
that-
answer to that.
go ahead.
Okay. So, I actually shifted a lot of the cost to that, to the tax title, that I have with regards to the free cash. I shifted most of it there. I'm still in another cycle here, trying to see what else might come through. So I did reduce it. I didn't go all the way down to 0 yet, but I'll monitor that for next year if I could. I just don't want to be kind of caught up if something comes at me and I wasn't aware of it, so that's all.
Right, I mean, going back to 2024, we only have $154.35 that was in the budget.
So tax titles weren't done for 5 years,
Okay.
so that was a big piece of it, but, with the new laws and stuff like that too, I kinda wanted to see how things go for the next year if I could, so.
Okay.
And because now the property, we have to determine, we have to do advertising probably for the Mill Street, that may come out of that now because we own it.
Mhm.
So it's not tax title anymore, we own that property, so I don't believe we could take it out of the tax title.
Okay.
We clarify that, but I believe we would probably have to advertise out of that
And
town
it's-
account for that. And then we'll probably do some for town-owned properties that we might dispose of, so we may use that.
All right. Surety bonds, again, we've got a lot of money budgeted for this, but yet, looking at even both the actuals for this year and 2024, we're not even coming close to the budget.
May I speak on that?
Yeah. So to date, we've spent $1,146 on that.
It's the timing of it. It's usually done in June for a start date in July, so the bills haven't come in yet. But it's for myself and my 3 assistants, so there's 4 of us, and it is costly, so it's a timing thing right now.
If you'd like some historical, I can look at some historical stuff of when they come in, if they come in.
Yep, thanks. Now, and then, office supplies, again, on this, we're going up to $2,400, yet year-to-date, we've only spent $696.
We have an order in right now, so it's in the works right now, so.
So this expenditure he's talking about is money that's already been spent, and you're anticipating more money to be spent before the July 1st.
So he's looking at 696 being
Right.
spent, correct, yes.
We have future expenses coming before July 1st.
Yes, sir.
And if we go after July 1st, you encumber the money, is that how it works?
I can't spend after July 1st on on this budget that we're looking at in 25,
Okay.
so,
But-
yes.
But I guess why would we go up on that? I mean, do we anticipate more expenses in office supplies next year, despite the fact that we've never really hit even the 2,000?
I can take a look at it if I can reduce it. Yep.
Any further discussion on any of this? Okay, then, if no further discussion, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Agenda item number 11. Review and discuss the FY 2026 Town Clerk Elections Budget, number 1161 and 1162, in the amount of $285,206. Entertaining motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
95.
So moved.
Wait a second. Can I get a second?
Second,
Okay.
the agenda item says 285. This does not. This says 227,049.
Oh, yeah, because it's
It could be-
elections too, it's the next page, elections, it's a combined. Town clerk and
Two,
elections.
yeah. Two accounts.
Two accounts, there's two accounts.
27.
It matches both budgets.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Good question. Okay, Mr. Manager?
Thank you. Salary and wages is everybody's at max step that's in that department right now. Those are the 3 employees that are there. There's a potential retirement, but we have not received any formal word on that retirement as of yet, so we're gonna continue with that position. Longevity, as I stated earlier, you have the longevity payments based on the fact that those employees are grandfathered in, so there's no change because those are standard. Specialized services, we pay for the dog licensing program, and that's the increase due to the proposed rate increase by the company itself.
Okay.
All right, next page, print forms. I'll let, if you have any questions on that. It's a $200 increase. There are a lot of forms and letterhead and index cards and vital paper that the department uses. There's increases in cost of paper, so that is the reason for that increase. Any questions on that?
Any further discussion? Council Chenier?
Evelyn's position, she's pretty much done. So you have this budget with her,
She has not provided a letter of retirement or any, she has indicated it's a possibility,
Okay.
but she has not formally done it, so I have to carry this
Yeah.
position until
Okay.
such time.
but if she does do that, the position will most likely come in at a lower pay.
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
But again, I have to carry it.
I understand.
Budget.
Any further discussion? Council Montigny?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question for you to the town manager. Approving the budget probably late May. If she happened to do it, would we at least be able to remove like the $1,000 of longevity before council final night, or just the longevity, not touch the salary line?
That individual is currently out on leave, so I cannot comment on any further on this
Understood.
right now.
Yep,
So,
good, okay. Very good.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Okay,
do you want to go through the elections, because I think it was one motion,
Oh,
right? I'm sorry.
all right, yes, let's do that. Let's take that back.
So on the elections, you have the Board of Registrars, that's the salary professional. Seasonal positions, you're gonna see a substantial decrease in the seasonal positions, and that is because of less elections this year. So that becomes a cyclical every 4 years increase. It's too bad we can't establish some kind of account that we could keep that level funded for 4 years and build up an account for that. Maybe we can do some legislation for that, but that's the reason for that huge decrease. Again, the elections, there's a decrease for that. And if there's any other questions, I'll gladly answer them, but there's overall 52% decrease in cost.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Item number 12.
Thank you, Manny.
Review and discuss FY 2026 data processing budget number 1155 in the amount of $495,985. Entertaining motion to submit to town council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Town Manager?
Thank you. In regards to salaries, the salary, majority of that increase is due to the fact that Victor will be going up a step, and the salary schedule will be going to max step based on his number of years here, as well as the 2% projected COLA. Our largest increase in this is data processing. It's really the cost of our security systems and vision and cloud hosting. Our firewalls have dramatically increased. We have eliminated some, but we added the OpenGov platform. So that OpenGov alone was a $48,000 increase that was on a grant previously. And there had been some conversation. That grant was approved by council prior to my arrival here. And I don't think there was a lot of conversations about how to fund it going forward. There was some talk about putting some cost in for recouping some costs through permit fees, but that's all new. And just our monitoring firewalls and things like that. So IT has become I think everyone knows IT is expensive. That's all for cost for subscription based and continue our security firewalls. And Munis is very expensive as well. It's an expensive product, but we try to manage it the best we can.
Okay. Any discussion? Councilor Montigny?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you, the town manager. On that topic of Munis, did they say in the beginning of the OpenGov days that they also do have a software that we don't own, but they have a portion that is their own Munis? Like their own sort of accounting software, OpenGov, or am I confusing the two?
Yeah.
Okay, I just thought there was an opportunity to maybe, save something by getting OpenGov's accounting software, but I guess they don't have accounting software.
No, we wouldn't. If we do anything, we would have to do a comprehensive study of what platforms are out there.
Okay.
There's very few
Yeah.
to do a conversion. There's some that are a lot easier, maybe somewhat more cost effective, but that would be a big conversation that I'm not going to have in a budget meeting
No, of course
to
not.
talk about a conversion because you're talking huge,
Yeah,
you know?
very good, thank you.
Is, are police and fire included on this, or they have their own?
Runs through PPP.
We put their 30,000 each into their budgets, remember at the PPP?
Okay.
So that's that new software, so that's not incorporated into this one. It really is the OpenGov, the Vision, cloud hosting, Civic Plus and all that, so we have costs that are in some departments for their cost, and this is the overall support. The GDS gets very expensive as well for cybersecurity on a town side. So we have the police and fire doing their cybersecurity, GDS does our security, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to morph them all into the .gov world and be able to have all one cybersecurity. So it's a networking process that we're doing.
Okay. Hey, Councilor Cheney?
Are you gonna eventually do office supplies like we've done the electric and all that, where there's just one purchasing point? Or is it easier doing the office supplies by each department? Is there cost savings, you think?
I don't know if there'd be a cost savings, there may be an opportunity to be efficient. Maybe there'd be a cost savings to burn who's buying what, so we may look at certain departments, like we may put all of inspections under one, all of our upstairs floor and all the finance for one, but we've been doing, like I said, we did the electric, natural gas, now we're looking at copiers and other efficiency, and maybe office supplies, and we'll be working to try to streamline that, so wherever we can make savings, we will do that. But again, the biggest cost is our IT software support.
Along office supplies, do we have a contractor that we get office supplies from? Or
We buy a lot of stuff from Amazon
we used to buy Amazon?
and Amazon, and
We don't
do we do
have-
any of those? WB Mason?
Quill and
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Agenda item number 13. Review and discuss the FY 2026 cable budget, number 1159, in the amount of $210,636. Entertain a motion to submit to town council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you. So here, we have the salaries for the two full-time employees, Charlie and James, and then there's one per diem assistant that we had. We reduced it, last year there was two, this year we're only recommended one. We may come back to the council at some point with a stipend for Charlie, but we're trying to verify all the information within the legal, the cable budget for the income of cable, because we're not sure if the cable company's actually recouping or sending us all the money that we're supposed to be allocated. So we're doing a comprehensive review of that. Charlie is the station manager and James works for him, but they have the same salary. Charlie has done a lot of additional admin. He does all the admin and things like that, so he doesn't have a secretary anymore. They used to have a secretary on this. So we've kind of reduced this budget, and we have to analyze it even further because we're not gonna move stuff to the town's operating. This should be self-sustaining. We do have money in the cable account, but we're trying to, and the problem is we have to start determining in that a lot of people are going to streaming. So this is all, we're trying to determine, well, how are you getting your subscriber count? Because our reimbursement is all by subscriber count. So less people that have subscribers going to streaming or other platforms is reducing our income. So we have to really keep an eye on this budget for the upcoming year to make sure that we're not going into, and now shifting costs to our general operating fund. So that's where we're at on this budget. So that's all I have on that one.
Council Montigny.
Thank you, Mr. Council Kelly. Through you to the manager. I just have a couple questions, being the former station manager myself. So the savings that Charlie took off here for miscellaneous materials down from 10,000 to 5,000, that money goes into the revolving cable account that you mentioned?
It stays there.
It's okay. It stays there, right? Correct. Furthermore, do you happen to know how much money we got this year, or?
I can get that number for you because
Okay.
I know that Dean and Emma have been tracking that down.
Yeah.
And Gail has been really working with
Okay.
Chatter because we got a large check and we were making sure that we had got a very small check.
Yeah.
Then we called them up and there was some communications with the cable, so we're trying to go back to see how much they may owe us some additional money that they haven't been sending us. So we are working to make sure that we can, but I'll get the number.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great because back in the day on the franchise agreement, the first one, they would pay like year 10 up front, and then it would sit there, and then the final year you wouldn't get money while you renegotiated the franchise agreement and stuff. So I'm curious to see, as you're saying, to less subscribers, how much money are they putting into their savings account,
Right.
Every year so they can protect the budget. It's great that, Charlie is definitely worth his salt. He's a fantastic and he's great with the community, he's great with the kids, and he knows what he's doing, and he edits very well. And furthermore, I just wanted to say, hopefully cable stays around, because I know at my house I do have cable still, because they give me Hulu, Disney, Peacock, Paramount, HBO Max, all for free now, streaming. It's like they realized, well, you have to offer these streaming services or nobody's going to buy cable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that stops the bleeding. Hopefully they add Netflix to it, and then they have the whole bunch, and then people can still buy cable, because if you don't buy cable, you can't watch channel 192. It's good that even Charlie, even though it's not taxpayer money, it's all cable money, still making savings and keeping everything under control for the future. So thank you for that.
And when I say that we're tracking this down, they gave us what they said was the total number of subscribers.
Yeah.
If you just multiply the number of houses, and we just went off of our curbside parcels by number of units and all that, we're saying there's no possible way that we only have 1,200 subscribers for cable TV in the town of Southbridge. That's what I think they said, gave us for the number, so we're trying to get that verified. If you look down below, Mr. Chairman, transfers to general fund,
Yes.
the increase for that, if that's a question, that's money they have to pay to the town for the use of for the space in the town hall. So it's allocated space based on square footage, based
Okay.
on, indirect costs. You know, like the indirect cost for, water, sewer,
Right.
and that, we do the same thing with cable.
Okay.
Because, you know, even though it's self-staying, there's a cost offset for the accountant, the treasurer, you know, the heat, the gas and all that. So that's what that cost is.
Okay.
If that was a question that you might have had.
It was, you were anticipating my questions?
And what we did,
Okay.
and just when we get to the enterprise funds at a later meeting, with that, we did last year we paid for an analysis to be completed on that. And then they gave us the formula. So what we do is we then upload that formula sheet with county salaries. There's a percentage that's allocated for each department that we then have to report to make sure that it's accurate, that are indirect costs. So that would be the indirect cost
Okay.
for that operation. And
Okay.
that's it.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Unanimous? 14. Agenda number 14. Review and discuss the FY 2026 personnel budget number 1910 in the amount of $5,752,178. Entertain a motion to submit to town council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Town manager.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see a decrease in sick vacation buyback. Every year we put out what departments may anticipate any retirements. Based on that, we then determine how many possible sick days or vacation that we may have to pay out. So that's just a formula, and that's what we anticipate for the year. I.e., if that individual in the town clerk, that maybe that's retirement, we budgeted for it within that, okay? Retirement itself, we are assessed by for the Suffolk Retirement Board. That is our assessment. If you read my budget memo, I indicated what percentage cost is for the unfunded, you know, to fund the liability and the rest of it. So that's the assessment that we're given. We don't have any choice on that. And then salary reserve, when we say salary reserve, I think you've heard me mention at a few subcommittee meetings that we're in collective bargaining, right? So that's where we put any monies for any possible negotiations that we have for the multiple bargaining units. I think last night I said, or at the EHS, that we may do, you know, to move Katie up to that if it's approved, we would transfer money from that account to fund that. And that's what that account is for. So that is basically set aside for the contracts that we anticipate. We hopefully won't have to use all of it, but that's what we've put aside.
Okay. Mr. Jillian.
On the budget analysis over here, it says 5,752,178. Down here on the retirement page, there's a little bit of a difference.
What would,
It's the top one.
which one?
It's the top number?
Yes.
It's a
it
top
was-
one,
yeah.
490.
Okay,
So if
because
you
the
look-
100% number down bottom is 5,000,000.
Well, no, because
800
we get the letter from the retirement board, but that letter goes out, that's the Suffolk Retirement Board's letter.
Okay.
But they handle anything like that, BayPath, and also the Suffolk Housing Authority. We don't budget for those.
Okay.
That's
all
not
right.
out of the
All right, I
budget.
just wanna
Our only is the town of Stockbridge.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's it.
Any further discussion? Okay. If not, then all those in favor? Okay.
I want to
unanimous?
thank you for the pay raise.
I just I just want to also, you know, we talk about how we're at the maximum tax levy at this point.
Right.
Once we negotiate these settlements, if these budgets or the collective bargaining, if we are favorable. And there's other factors in there, not just collective bargaining, there are other factors, so I don't want you to think that's the pot of money we have, there's a bunch of other adjustments that are in that. We would reduce that, and that would go back, we would come back to council when we set the tax levy. We would just say, okay, we're gonna reduce our budget now, it will be this, and that money would then go to the tax levy. And that's what we did last year on some of this stuff, okay?
Agenda item number 15, review and discuss the FY 2026 group health and life insurance budget in the amount of $6,264,499. Entertain a motion to town council as presented.
The numbers are different.
Where?
Agenda 15, right?
Agenda 15, yeah.
6264499. I got 6264449.
You're right.
Oh, 449? Yeah, it should be 449, thank you.
Okay, so should we amend?
Mine says
Make
449.
No, in there, on the agenda itself.
Make a motion to amend that to 449.
6264449.
Yeah, second. Okay, all right, all those in favor? Okay, so the agenda item now reads, review and discuss the FY 2026 group health and life insurance budget number 1911 in the amount of $6,264,000, $6,264,449. Entertain a motion to town council as presented.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Mr. Town Manager.
So, as noted, we've had the 15% increase in health insurance. Also, when we did this budget, we did a thorough analysis of all employees that are currently on the insurance, both the school and the town, and have budgeted accordingly. So not only is it the increase for the insurance itself, but also the number of employees that are taking insurance. So this number goes in flux because you have people come on, you have people come off, but we took Dean, Michelle, Nor, took the most recent invoice, did a whole spreadsheet as to who was in what plans, broken down by school, by town, and then also we have to also budget for, we don't want to just budget for what we have now, because we want to make sure that we budget for a couple additional, because you don't know who may move in, who may move out. This is our best estimate based on our increase plus the number of employees that we currently have.
Councilor Chenier.
So, we account for actual employees that are presently working. Not like what happened a year or two ago where we were paying for insurance for people that were no longer employees. So we do an actual audit of those positions that they're still working people. Okay, and how do you do that? With the school being constantly changing employees? Because that's where the issue was more than anything.
It continues to be a struggle.
So that was reason for the position that Tara is filling. She has been doing this for the last year or so since she's been in that position, is serious audits. And during those audits, we were able to recoup some money. Also in there, some people are owed some refunds. So now it's being monitored, everyone that comes on to when they go off, and making sure that we're made whole of our 70%. So there is a process that's been developed. There are still those challenges, but with that said, we have a much tighter hold on it. I had a really good, strong background in it coming into it, so I was able to get Tara to understand how to do that going forward, and she's been developing her own process too. So I think we got a pretty good handle on it.
And you also get together with the retirement board to verify who's retired and who's cutting the money back and those kind of things?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay.
We communicate with Nor and with Yolanda constantly, and with the school as well. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else out there? All right. So, I used to have a comment. This is, insurance costs are getting crazy.
Crazy.
And, we're looking at just the way this is budgeted, and we're looking at a 30% increase in health insurance, in life insurance. And a 20% increase in health insurance.
Well, no, they're both
Is that
health
right?
insurance.
They're both health insurance.
The top one is town, the bottom one, it says S is school.
Okay,
So we have to break it up.
all right, understood. So either way, both health insurance. So you're looking at, really significant increases year to year.
Correct.
Now, I just looking back in 2024, it looks like we had a different system in place because we've got various programs, various health options, I guess, and it was all budgeted out. And then all that was zeroed out in 2025, and now we just have all group insurance for both the school and the town. But then we see a big increase there, and then we see a big increase over 25 to 26. We're not getting any justification as to why these costs are going up. Are people getting sicker, or is it just the insurance companies getting greedier?
That's a multi-factor thing because it's a combination of both. Okay, so every year when we come in, we talk about health insurance, they do give us a spreadsheet of all high claims that we have in town. We don't know the employees' names, but we do know what some of the factors are. We have some very sick individuals that are that are employees or spouses. Some of them to the tune of $1 million per year in claims. So our claims are higher. So that's one factor. Another factor is that, and we're going to see a change in this because we just were notified on a lot of the cost factors that they indicated, that the insurance company indicated, was a lot of the weight loss drugs, Ozempics, and all that have been previously covered will no longer be covered as of January. That towns would have to get and pay for a special rider going forward for that because those costs are skyrocketing. And we're not the only town that has seen the increase. We're actually one of the fortunate ones at 15% increase. But we're working collectively, and we've talked about hiring a broker to go out and seek other programs to kind of mitigate our costs, and we'll be working on it. Michelle is much more expert working with Noah, so I'll defer to her, but that's some of the strategies that we do.
Is this something we need to get our legislators involved in? Because this seems to me, if we keep doing this year on end, 20% every year, the town's going to be bankrupted by insurance costs.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That it's not sustainable, and I've had conversations with Representative Marcy multiple times. As every time I see him and bring these things up, he says, "Well, you're the final person to say because every town in his district is saying the same thing. We can't afford these insurance costs. What are you going to do to help us legislatively with these insurance costs?" We're also seeing in our conversations with our representatives that there are multiple plans now closing, right? What was one of the collaboratives that collaboratively go for health insurance, right? There was one that they said that they brought down, right? Which one was it?
I don't remember the name, but towns who get together to create their own collaborative are now breaking up and going to bigger health trusts because they could no longer
sustain the cost. Yeah. So, so it is something I would gladly, if you could pick up the phone and start advocating because I think it is gonna take a town-wide collaborative legislative approach to address these health costs, because these are outrageous. We can't, you're right, we can't sustain this.
We won't be able to do anything else except pay for health insurance.
$1
We won't be
million
able, we won't
this
be
year.
able, won't be able to pave the roads, we won't be able to do anything except pay for health insurance in the
So
future.
you think about that, yes, you're right, that $1 million is just health insurance, and when we struggle as police and fire, right? So you got the driver of fire calls going up to $4,700 with not enough staff. Could we use 4 more firefighters, right, to handle that? Yes, but that's, okay, say that's $400,000. If it wasn't health insurance at $1 million, maybe we could think about that strategy, right? And roads, and okay, buy a paver and hire a couple guys to do roads. You can't do any of that because it's all eaten up in $1 million in health insurance. It's crazy. So I agree. But unfortunately, that's our problem.
Councilor Channing.
I found over the years, I've been on the Insurance Advisory Committee since its inception. And from day one, our costs were dictated because of the usage we have. I'm a prime example that the insurance company has spent millions of dollars on over the course of my sickness, of cancer and those kind of things. When you have prescription costs like my drugs, my chemo drug was $21,000 a month. And that was just one drug. So until we're able to get those things at our state and legislative level, we're going to continue to see this. I mean, it is ridiculous. We're, $6 million. And it's been a constant battle for years and years. I mean, what happened, transpired over the course of years was town paid Peter to take from Paul. Any police and fire injuries were paid for by Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They had never had an IOD type claims back when I first started in the fire station. And Blue Cross looked at that and said, hey, why are we paying these claims? They stopped paying IOD claims. That's when the IOD law all came in and it has to be paid for by the towns. So, I mean, we were some of our own enemy at times, but we have an old population of employees. We've been lucky in one way that these employees have stuck around for so long, but in the long run, it does cost us more money in insurance and benefit costs. Thank you.
Any further discussion on this item? All right, if not, all those in favor? Unanimous. Agenda item number 16. Review and discuss the FY 2026 general insurance budget, account 9400000, in the amount of $1,034,000. Entertain a motion to town council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager.
So, as you can see, our biggest increase is unemployment. A lot of that is driven through the school department for unemployment. So that is an estimate there. We just received this week our property general liability with a 6.4% increase based on the numbers that we have budgeted here and any changes throughout last year. I believe we're all set for that with no additional increase that we're going to need, but that's our proposal, so we're good. On this end, anyway. And they say with a 6.4%, they were happy to provide us, because of our favorable claims rating in town of Southbridge, a 6.4% increase. I don't know how favorable that is. How about nothing? If you have such a good claim ratio, but that was the letter that I received yesterday, so. But we're comfortable with this budget for our insurance property.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilor Channing.
The unemployment,
Yeah.
24, we spent 15,169.
Yeah,
25 we originally put in for 65,000, and we have an actual of 25,828
today.
to this date.
Yeah.
And you're proposing 71,000, a 9.2% increase.
Yeah, that's based on, do we do an audit on the unemployment? I think we do have an unemployment company that does some of the unemployment for us, but.
Yeah, we do have, we go to a third-party company that does that for us.
Are we able to recoup the unemployment cost from the school, or is that separate?
I believe, when we define recoup, it does go part of net school spending because
Correct,
there's
that's
costs
what I'm talking
allocated
about.
to it. So while it's not a recoup, we don't get money, it is part of the formula for other insurance when we figure out net school spending.
Okay, that's what I was trying
Yeah.
to, okay, thank you.
I guess I have a question. You know, why do we budget so high for that particular line item, unemployment, when it looks like the history, we don't come close to getting to the budget figure?
We currently have a former employee that is on unemployment. That probably will hit us pretty hard. We're contesting that unemployment because the individual quit, but he is getting paid unemployment. So we do manage that. So we try to use our best estimate for the year. Any monies that are left in that will close out to free cash at the end of the year. So we try to be as close as possible. The school does have a lot of employees that move in and out that claim unemployment. That's really where the costs are at the schools. But yes, we have that one employee currently that's collecting, so I think we're gonna have to budget at least for part of the year.
All right.
He didn't, not yet, but he's, so. Something that we do keep an eye on.
Any further discussion? Okay, no further discussion, then all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. All right, number 17, review and discuss the FY 2026 Boards and Commissions budget. Count 001176-001178 in the amount of $1,250. Entertain a motion to town council as presented. Mr.
So
Manager.
moved.
Sorry.
Mr. Manager.
So we historically have budgeted these for any expenses that these commissions may have. That we've never gone up on them. The Historic Commission is probably one commission that has spent a little bit more than the others. The zoning board of appeals would be any training that they may want to attend and things like that. So we give them a little bit of money to, at their disposal, but it's $1,200 to have available for them, for the volunteers that do those important commissions and boards. That's all I can say about that.
Any further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Unanimous of all present. Item number 18. Review and discuss the fiscal year 2026 debt service budget, number 1710, in the amount of $3,065,429. Entertain a motion to submit to town council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Town Manager.
There is a decrease in this, but I will defer the questions on debt to Michelle, because that is her area of expertise, and I would do no justice in trying to explain any of this to you.
Okay.
So there's about 4 or 5 projects that actually dropped off the funding schedule, so that's what actually is part of the reduction. Also, though, I had to budget because we're getting ready to roll over a band, and then do some new borrowing in that as well. So I'm preparing for the interest on that. So that's pretty much it, unless you have some detailed questions. I might have to go back and look it up.
So debt service would include the school projects, any water and sewer bans that we have.
It's only at $3.6 million.
Well, the water and sewer.
The water sewer go into the enterprise fund.
Enterprise, yep.
So this would include the school, the road money, and the fire station money. Correct?
And the band. And the band, I thought you were talking.
No, the fire station ban, plus the school.
And the
That's the
ban
one
is
I-
the fire station, I'm sorry, the fire station and the roads.
The roads.
That's, yeah.
On short-term borrowing.
Yep.
The question that Councilman Marquetti had asked the other night, about when would we bond it? Councilman Kennedy had asked a question the other night, when we would go to bond, I said probably at the end of the project, we would go to the bonds.
Okay.
The bonds.
Any other discussion on this? Okay. What's this line item here, STINT? What is that?
Short-term borrowing interest.
Okay.
So that's the estimation on that band that's gonna go over next May, so the
Okay.
interest I will have to pay on that.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Agenda number 19. Review and discuss FY 2026 Articles Budget, account number 1900000, in the amount of $1,136,250. Entertain a motion to submit to Town Council as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Town Manager.
So the articles that we have here, the biggest one that you have that was previously not funded is the electricity. As I stated in all the other budget presentations, we had moved the electricity from all the other budgets, moved into one account. So there'll be one account for electricity off of this. Then we have the natural gas, the heat and fuel. Those are the budgets for that. Property management. The reason for the property management that we pay for is the parking that we rent for next door is property management that we use. There is a bill that we use for Holiday Visions that we get reimbursed for, but we do pay that insurance cost for that rental of Jake's provides rental to the town for the Holiday Visions program. And the reason for the increase in this is we rent tower space for the police and fire communications,
Blackman Road.
Blackman Road. So that historically has never been budgeted anywhere, and so we've been paying it out of that property management account. So that's the increase in that.
Okay.
Okay. Property R&D. That is an account that when I first became town manager, I had no idea what that was for, but it's for any repairs or demolition that occur that are unanticipated. Okay, so this year we had the fire station electrical panel that went,
Right.
so that money came out of this account. The year before we had the water line that we had to do, or this year too, we had the water line that we had to do, so there was some cost there. We had to do an asbestos abatement for the old animal control shelter,
That's right.
all right, because we want to tear that down. So we had to have that studied so that we can, the DPW would like to tear that down on their own, but we had to have an asbestos study. So that's more or less of a demo accounts that are unanticipated, that haven't been budgeted anywhere else, that we pay for that kind of repairs. It's really unanticipated, right? Nobody expected the fire panel at the fire station to go up, right? That was a $25,000 bill. So fortunately, we had this, we could pay that bill out of that.
Anybody? Any discussion? So what about like what about West Street School elevator? Is that coming out of that?
So, no, West Street School elevator, we had a emergency capital accounts that we had given the school department for $300,000, plus they had another $300,000 the year before, so it's out of their capital account. So this account is strictly town properties. So that's what we have there.
Non-school property, because school property is town property.
It is. Any town property now currently, I'm gonna shut my mouth, Counselor. You'll get me in trouble as a lawyer, right? Go ahead, you can grill me. But yes, yes, so, typically the schools would do it out of their budget or come to us for that, but, solid waste is our trash removal, and I'll double check of why it's, so low, but that's what we budgeted last year. Audit, we're at the end of our 3-year audit, so we have to go out to engage new services, so we did a slight increase just for that. And then telephone, postage. Postage is inexpensive, and we had to increase it because we have a lot of postage with our curbside. town mailings, water and sewer bills, and all that, and then postage has gone up substantially, even though we get bulk rate, but bulk rate still goes up with, even though it's not to the point of the other, so that's a killer ourselves. And copy machine cost, again, that's where we have most of the copy machines, Councilor Shea, is under that. There are some individual departments that still have their copies, but that's town hall copies that we can move the other ones in. Fuel and lube, as you can see, is one account, and then down below, you see all these are one account, and then they're broken down below into the different sub-accounts. So those are all sub-accounts. So you have police vehicles, DPW vehicles, town hall vehicles, right? So we're all given fobs.
Right.
So we all have fobs for gas and fuel. So when we go to a gas station, my fob has my name and my vehicle, so they know when I get gas, how many gallons, and what vehicle, what that person was.
Okay.
So we keep track, and that's all done by the DPW, keeping track of individual departments when they get gas and fuel and budgeting, and then it's costed out below. Same with natural gas. So the natural gas, while it's in-house, they have the sub-accounts just for accounting purposes.
Okay.
And that's all I have. So, again, because it's the big number, somebody's gonna look below 66% increase, but that's only because electricity all came under this account and was zeroed out from other departments. That's all I have.
Any discussion? Okay. On the postage,
Yes.
can we get people to sign up for electronic billing so they don't have to send?
We do have the curbside ability to do that currently. We certainly can explore that option. There are, well, people can, well, as far as the billing itself, I'll defer because she does the billing, so
The law doesn't allow us to make it as a standalone, we still have to mail out.
so.
Yes.
So getting you a legislator again, okay?
Personally, all right, I'm more likely to not get to overlook a bill that is mailed to me as opposed to one that I get electronically.
Yeah.
Because I've gone so digital,
Correct,
and
right?
I think most people have.
I don't remember.
I'm just the opposite. Me, I get my
Oh, you're
bills.
right. I don't know what bill I do now get by mail.
Yeah,
I think most of it's all
most
electronic.
of it's junk mail that goes into my bin.
And I'll be honest with you, there are many people that come in and say, I didn't get my bill, and I'm gonna bet they just put it in a pile and threw it away thinking it was junk mail.
Yeah.
You know, because you get that little envelope or something, so maybe we could get the legislature to change that and give that an
Okay.
option, how about
All
that?
right.
I think you should run for state rep, there you go, and get the laws changed.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like Marcy.
That's an endorsement right there.
What,
Not that I wanna get rid of you.
No,
No, I don't wanna get rid of you.
Okay. All right. Where are we? Number 19. Any further discussion on this item? If not, all those in favor? Okay, unanimously approved for town council. Item number 20. Review and discuss a transfer request from the town accountant in the amount of $2,000 from account number 001132 578-100, Town Council Reserve, to account number 019-000-521000, admin electricity. Entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Town Council.
So moved.
Second.
So this charge, we have the EV station that we installed at the RMV. We can't charge it off to the RMV revolving fund, you know, for that revolving fund, so we have to set up a specialized electric. We do get revenue, so we analyze the bill, set the code of how much we charge. So it is a charge station, we don't provide that free. So we do get the revenue, but we didn't have a specialized account to actually pay for that one meter. So we have to establish this account.
Council Chair.
Sure you're gonna ask.
And the town hall elevator, I signed it, there's 3 stations
No,
coming in, and
no.
it's gonna be paid.
If you're gonna go into that same account, money from the town hall? In the same revolving account?
It would go into, well, we don't, it doesn't go in, it goes to the
Oh.
general fund,
Okay,
so it just comes in as a receipt, so it would come in as other receipt. It would just come off our electric bill, but it would come in as other receipt.
okay, good.
Mr. Joyner?
With the project that's coming up down in that area,
Yep,
is this gonna be taken out, or are we adding more, or?
we're not, through you, we are not adding any more. It's already been accounted for with the site plan and the construction crews. They know that it may come out temporarily and go back in and be moved to the appropriate place, but that was part of the project and they were aware of it.
So there'll just be one charging station down there?
Just that we're not putting any more in.
Okay,
no.
all right.
Mr. Chen, Town Councilor Chen.
No, I'm just,
Oh, I thought you had your
right
hand up.
now, I'm just
Okay.
talking with my hand.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on this one? If not, all those in favor? Unanimous by all present. Number 21. Review and discuss a transfer request from the town assessor in the amount of $20,000 from account number 001141-511000, salary and wages, permanent, to account number 001141-530000, specialized services. Entertain a motion to recommend approval to the town council.
So move.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Manager.
So this was last year, when we did the budget, we had budgeted the salary at the, well, how we did the budget for this year, we had budgeted at the higher salary during the interim, when Will was the interim assessor. We were paying him out of that, but then he transitioned to a consultant role. So this was to pay when when we appointed Jasmine, the difference in that salary, because it's just the way we have to pay for his services.
Mr. Julian.
So did were we giving him a stipend, or were we paying him per, like, hour?
He would bill us.
Okay.
It wasn't a stipend, he would bill us for his hours. We paid
So
him an
you
hourly
would,
rate.
right, so you would say that it was $4,500 or something?
For this coming year.
Okay, so why are we doing 20,000 for,
That's for this year.
so you only charge 4,500 for?
We're budgeting, so
Okay,
a lot of his work was done at the beginning of the year because we brought Jasmine on a little bit later in the year. So we recruited to come in and be
Yeah.
as an interim assessor.
Uh-huh.
We had the revaluation year, right, the big 5-year revaluation, so he's heavily involved in that. He was heavily involved in a lot of that revaluation, the RFP that had to go out, the awarding of the bids and all this.
okay,
So
so he's
he's
doing a lot
trans-
more work.
He did a lot more
Okay,
work, yeah.
okay.
And then now, what we did is he's being weaned off. So a lot of this expense was all done prior to December,
Okay,
all right? But because the way he had to bill,
Mhm.
because of how many hours
Okay.
worked for a year as a retiree, a lot of it got billed
Okay.
later.
all right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Okay, unanimously approved, the town council. Number 22. Review and discuss a transfer request from the town accountant in the amount of $41,100 from account number 001910-519100, salary reserve, to account number 00135-511000, salary FT. Entertain a motion to recommend approval to the town council.
So move.
Second.
So if you remember, we added Emma
Right.
last year. When we do the budget, we don't put in that position because it's not existing. So now we're just funding that position. So we've reached the point in that our salaries are now gonna go into the negative. It's just that, and we had already budgeted that in salary reserve, that position. It was an approved position. That money's now just coming from there to that line item. So it was budgeted at 0 because it was a new position. So once the council approves it, we then add it into the overall budget. Now we have to do a transfer. We've just been going off the money that we had in the account. Now we're at the point where we're gonna have to do that for this position maybe a couple in the tax collector's office, because of the way we reconfigured positions, was all within that salary reserve. Last year, I came to the council and we said we were in collective bargaining for the DPW, just like we did with the fire, and we had zero it out.
Yeah,
Not zero, but we just did the step increase, not any COLA, and what's put aside. We did the same thing for the DPW, and there's money in that account. So we'll have some money close out to free cash this year, because we had the money budgeted in that salary account, but because there's been so many vacancies in the DPW, we're not gonna have the need to fund the pay raises, because there's money within that salary account. So that's the reason for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous to the town council. Item number 23. Review and discuss town manager's appointment of John Sypek to the Board of Registrars effective immediately until June 30th, 2027, pending successful completion of state ethics. Entertain a motion to recommend confirmation to the town council.
so moved.
Second.
The Board of Registrars requires a Democrat, a Republican on the Board of Registrars. He had not put in his letter last year to be reappointed. We have an election coming up, so we're reappointing him. You know, the election's coming up, so the registrars sit for the election, so that's the position for the Republican registrar.
And did he put his papers in?
But this time, yes, right.
Okay.
Not this right. Let me-
Okay.
Yep, so that's our appointment for that position.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Unanimous to town council. Item number 24.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.